Good afternoon, Derek. How you doing? You well?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I can't complain, man. Blessed always, in always. Listen, we're here to talk about the January challenge from arts organisation 64 Million Artists. Great way to start the month. We've covered it online, but just for those who might have missed it and could benefit from being involved in the last few days that it's going to be taking place throughout January. Talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, so it's essentially, about getting creative, starting the new year in a creative way. It helps a lot of people in different ways. Some people might be looking for inspiration to write a novel or write poetry or just using creativity as, catharsis, and it's a good way to set up how your year's going to go, where you're going to go with it. Maybe you will continue writing that novel you want to write, or you'll start writing that novel you want to write, or dedicate maybe a couple hours a day to writing poetry and whatnot. Do you know what I mean? And it's also a good way to interact with people who are, creative in their spare time or for full time as well. A lot of the time, especially even for me as well, like just being able to engage with people who are in kind of like an avenue that I want to be in, it helps. It's quite inspirational, and it gives me the kind of kick that I need to keep going. And especially in January as well, because January is like the ultimate Monday. Do you know what I mean? So it's like we need something to like push us and keep us going. And I think, the January challenge is really good for that.
Obviously, I know it's a collaborative effort involving a lot of great creative people. You're an author, writer. Talk about what you bring to the table.
Just so my workshop is basically about character development. When I write, I'm always just thinking about the people I'm writing about, the situations I'm putting them in, what they're doing with their lives, and so on and so forth. So my workshop, particularly what I'm going to ask people to do is basically bring a character that they've been thinking about writing about, or that they're trying to develop, or and they're struggling and whatnot, and write their obituary. Do you know what I mean? Because the way I see it, every character you write, as soon as you write the first sentence about them, they're dead, and with an obituary, what you're trying to do as well is trying to convey in as few words as possible the life story of this person. And that's what you're going to need to do in a novel, or in a poetry collection. You're going to need to you're going to want to know everything about this person and basically stretch it out throughout the book. So writing an obituary I feel is like the perfect way to do that. And it allows you to feel, if you imagine them being deceased, it allows you to feel a certain kind of sympathy for them that you may not be able to feel otherwise. Do you know what I mean? You have to think about them in a way where you're like, I need to do justice to this person's life. What are the important aspects of this person's life? And once you think about those important aspects, you can take those and turn them into the narrative. You can turn them into what happens, the day-to-day, the conflicts and this, that, and the other, the important things about them, what makes this person special, what are their idiosyncrasies, make jokes and eulogies as well, these kind of things. I feel like it allows you to really get into the head of the person that you're trying to write about. And I think one thing that's really good about, 64 Million Artists is that they're visible, so people can see. A lot of the time people don't realize that there's no barriers to entry, but in your mind you create these barriers that, I need to do this, or I need to be this kind of person, or blah, 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 in order to get into this or start doing this. A lot of, talking about writing specifically, a lot of young writers will be like, I can't call myself a writer until I've done so-and-so, but that's not true. And I think with the January challenge, it makes people realize that you are a writer, you are, a painter or a sculptor or whatever, just because you haven't put anything out yet doesn't mean that you're not that thing. Do you know what I mean? Which I feel is really important. So just kind of, spreading the word and getting all of the people who are involved, people like myself, Travis Alabanza, spreading the word and making people realize that, though it may be perceived that there's barriers to entry, there are none. Just do what you got to do. And even if you just want to do it for fun, it doesn't always have to garner some sort of reward, you know what I mean? One thing that happens a lot is that people think, okay, I need to create something in order for it to do this thing, or to sell it for this much, or just, trade it for the, do you know what I mean? This kind of, the whole mentality of it's about commerce when you come into creativity, and that's just completely wrong. So the January challenge allows people to just kind of relax and just do what they want to do what they like doing. Do you know what I mean? Do what they feel like doing. That's really, really important.
A lot of people will know you, Derek, from, you know, being the author of That Reminds Me, the first book published on Stormzy's imprint, Mercury Books. We last caught up a couple of years ago, prior to you.
Crazy. It's been a couple of years. Can you believe it? It's crazy.
I was just going to allude to that, man. Prior to you winning the Desmond Elliott Prize Award, and how time flies, right? How have things been since? You know, what are you creating?
No, it's been good. You know, the prize has really, you know, helped boost my confidence, helped me kind of open doors, you know, opportunities and stuff. So I'm currently, you know, I'm about to do my last edit for my next poetry collection, which is out in November with Canongate Books. So that's what I've been doing. I've got a children's book coming out in collaboration with DJ Locksmith from Rudimental that comes out next month, actually, as well. So I've been really, you know, gave me the confidence to just keep going and keep doing things, you know. And it's allowed me to connect with a lot of people in the industry as well, which hopefully the January challenge will allow people to feel like that as well, like they've connected with, you know, some elders in the game or people who've just started out and they've got their break, and, you know, just realizing that it is possible. That's really what winning the prize made me realize, like, right, you know, actually, maybe I can actually do this, you know, I can do this, you know, for the rest of my life, maybe, because I love doing it, and maybe I'm able to keep putting books out into the world, you know what I mean? So no, I've just been really keeping my head down and writing and just kind of really enjoy what's happened, you know. One thing I would say is a lot of creative people do is that they create something and then it maybe gets some praise and whatnot, and then they feel like, oh, I need to create something else to match this praise or match this. But sometimes you need to just sit down and kind of be like, you know what, I did this. Let me relax for a minute and enjoy the fact that I'm happy with this thing. Do you know what I mean? And then move on, rather than rushing and keep forcing yourself to produce things as if to say you are a factory or something.
You've spoken at length about your own mental health journey, but for those who haven't quite made the connection or see the value, even, you know, how do you see delving into being a creative as the contributing factor to improving one's sense of well-being?
I think with creativity, you have to tap into places in your mind, in your feelings, you know, that you wouldn't ordinarily do in everyday life. And things will come out that surprise you. Or, you know, you may paint something and look at it and be like, oh, this is talking to me in a particular way I didn't really realize, you know. With writing as well, sometimes, you know, I'm writing and thoughts are just coming forth that I didn't consciously try to bring forth. Do you know what I mean? And you read it back and you're like, oh, okay. Do you know what I mean? You know, and yeah, and it can be, you know, cathartic as well. You know, you zone out, you know, you get into this thing called flow, where it feels like the world just kind of disappears around you and you're just there in the zone. Do you know what I mean? Just doing what you love doing. And before you know it, 5 hours have gone past. Do you know what I mean? And in that time, maybe you were feeling anxious before, you get into the flow, 5 hours past, you come out and you're like, it's like the world is anew. Everything seems fresh. Everything seems, you know, it feels like anything's possible after you've done that, because you've just been living in this world that you've been creating for yourself. And you know that you can go back there whenever you want to. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you read like a really good novel, you get to the final page and it feels like, oh, wow, so what do I do now? Like I've been somewhere else for so long. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But it's an amazing feeling as well, because it makes you realize there is an escape. There are ways, there are routes to get out of what it is you're feeling or what it is you're going through with regard to your mental health. You know, I feel like creativity is really, really good for that.
Hopefully people can find some of that in this year's January challenge brought forward by the 64 Million Artists campaign. Is there anything else you want to share with us, Derek, before we part?
No, I mean, just, you know, if you feel like it, you know, go out and get the book. It's called About This Boy with Leon Rowe, aka DJ Locksmith from Rudimental. That comes out on the, you know, I believe the 3rd of February. And then my next poetry collection or novel in verse comes out in November. So, you know, if you feel like it, go out and get that as well.